topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Connected Table Live. We're your hosts, Melanie Young and David Ransom, your insatiably curious culinary couple. We love to travel the world to bring you the amazing people we meet, the regions we visit, the wines we taste, and the foods we eat, because we want you to step outside your comfort zone and travel with us. I think travel is our higher education, right?
I think it is too.
I think I learned more traveling than I did in college. and we love sharing this with you. And our background are the beautiful vineyards of Barberani Winery, and we are in the region of Orvieto in Umbria, which is the green heart of Italy. It is so easy to get to Umbria. Everybody should be going there. I mean, you can fly into Rome and get to Orvieto in a very short distance, maybe 90 minutes, and there's a direct, a train. It's so easy. We had the great pleasure of visiting Orvieto and really immersing ourselves in this incredibly wonderful wine region and learning about the wines and also the history. And we took some great tours. We've talked about this on the show before. Today, we're going to take you to an area of Orvieto that's kind of in the southeast corner. And Orvieto is right above Lazio, by the way, which is where Rome is. It is the southeast corner. It's known for, it's in the Classico area. The winery is, as I said, Barberani. It was established in 1961 when the patriarch came and planted varieties. And today, the third generation, the patriarch Vittorio Barberani, grandfather, came. And today, the winery is overseen by his grandsons, who we had the pleasure of meeting, Niccolò and Bernardo Barberani. In fact, we met Bernardo because he gave an incredible presentation to us about the different soils and history, the soils of Orvieto and its history at the Consortio office. And we had the great pleasure of visiting with them and learning about the winery and also this particular microclimate for Orvieto wines. So we want to introduce them. I think we have a short video, right? Well, maybe not. We're going to show it at some point. But anyway, Niccolò and Bernardo Barberani, welcome to the Connected Table.
Hello. How are you? We are super happy.
Well, we're happy to have you here, and it's nice to reconnect with you. We spent 5 wonderful days in Orvieto this past June, and really came away with a great feeling for the wines in the region. So nice to have you two on the show.
So we always like to start with your family, because one of the great things about the wine world is that many of the wineries are family run and multi-generational, and goodness knows that's a signature of many great Italian wine families. We referenced your grandfather, Vittorio, who came over and started. What was your family's background? Where was your family living before he settled in this beautiful area of Orvieto to grow grapes?
So, Melanie, David, thank you again for coming and visiting us in Orvieto. It's so beautiful to meet you online today on the radio. Our grandfather was living in Civitella del Lago. It's a small town on a hill very, very close to our estate. He's very Umbrian. The family is very, very Umbrian, and we always been in this small city before Second World War. And our grandfather, after Second World War, was an engineer and a mechanic, and he was in the field of agriculture because they were actually using old tanks from the war and with that part of the tanks, they were building things useful for the agriculture. So machinery and all the things that you need in the fields. And our grandfather was like a genius at that time, and his passion for agriculture was incredible. The family, after Second World War, used to own 3 wine bars in Orvieto. And so the Vittorio was making wine to pour by the glass in the wine bars. It was his love, his passion. And, the restaurant started asking for bottles because the wine was very, very good. As I told you, he was an engineer, so he was very, very strict and precise about agriculture. The wine was very drinkable, very elegant. And so he started a business out of a hobby, to tell the truth. And this was in 1961 when he decided to put the cork on the bottle.
Well, I think about 1961 here in the United States, and the wine industry was still very nascent. And in many areas of Italy, post-World War II Italy, a lot of the wineries were not even bottling wine yet. They were still making bulk wine. So 1961, when I think about it, is a fairly early time to start bottling wine, right?
Yes, it is. And at that time, the wine that my grandfather was making were mainly 3 wines. The Orvieto Classico Dry, the Orvieto Classico Medium Dry, and the red from Lake Corbara, that is a beautiful lake that we have here in the Orvieto Hills. And, the vision of our grandfather was very clear. He wanted to have, a wine that is very good for every day, a wine that will be estate bottled, as we were saying, because it was a new thing. And at that time, the national state of Italy was building the Autostrada, so the main highway from Rome to Florence. So the opportunity to make bottles was also fundamental to sell bottles, because at that time, tourism in Orvieto exploded. And that was the time where from a hobby, you really can make a great opportunity. And probably our grandfather had this kind of vision, and that we thank every day today.
And the wine bars.
Yeah, and the wine bars. That's really a great story.
Wine bars, a bar and a wine bar was regular. I would say in every town in Italy at that time, after Second World War, the bar was the center of attention, because in the bar there was the television. They didn't have TVs at home. The television was at the bar. So in the evening, everyone was meeting in the bar for to hear the news, to hear the advertisements, because even advertisements were something new that no one would imagine before. And then the shows of the TVs, they were so popular. And, in Italy, we have Sanremo, the competition about the songs. And so everyone was meeting, and was the wine bar was a fundamental place for socialization. And wine, is sharing. Wine is a social thing. And this is very important and very spontaneous in Italy.
Sure, and it still is, Melanie.
It still is a tradition. If you go around the world, like Brazil, life stops in Brazil at a certain time, and everybody gathers at the wine bars and the coffee shops to watch soap operas. And you see that in small towns, around Europe. This is a wonderful tradition. Yeah. It really is. Let's talk about where Barberani is located. And I see the video which shows the beautiful location is up. So why don't we just take a brief moment to look at this beautiful video to set the stage, to talk about what makes it special. So I think we're ready for the video.
Where fog embraces the dawn, withdrawing as the day breaks. Where the fizzing caress of the wind ruffles the bunch's sun-kissed quietude. A noble mold steals upon the grapes and renders them the sweetest of the crop. In the expert and devoted hands of the overseers of the ancient rite of vintage, knowing movements, respect, and passion, turn the grapes into an inebriating nectar, which time will work at ripening, liberating a complex symphony of aromas. This is the story of a unique wine, unique as the land which gives it expression, unique as the passion of its makers. Luigi and Giovanna Barberani, noble soul.
Wow.
Well, I have to say that video is definitely better than the ones that I took at the winery. That's for sure.
And it really shows a couple of very important climatic and geographic characteristics of what makes Barberani wine special and the unique microclimate. So let's talk about that.
Yes, Melanie, thank you very much for this opportunity. You know, Barberani estate is in Orvieto, and Orvieto is a corner of Umbria that is exactly on the border with Latium and Tuscany. So we are in a very, very independent area, and the Orvieto city has always been very powerful, even in the Etruscan and the ancient Roman times, when at that time, there were very good winemakers. And so the wine was very popular even more than 3,000 years ago. And this is incredible, because later my brother Niccolò will explain you a little about the winemaking process and how evolved they were even 3,000 years ago. The location of Barberani is very particular and peculiar because we are above the Tiber River and above the Corbara Lake. That is a great balance. It's a beautiful microclimate area with such an incredible humidity and fog at the end of September. These little fogs disappear in the early morning. During the night, they hydrate the plants and the fruits, and in the early morning it disappears because there is a lot of wind and a lot of sunshine. And this balance, this incredible difference from day and night, make the vulgar rot transform into noble rot. That is one of the fundamental key point of our area. One of the strongest character of the area is the spontaneous development of noble rot, thanking of these incredible weather conditions.
You know, noble rot. The term for noble rot is also botrytis, and it's a wonderful thing. We all love the wines that come from that process. It's in very few places in Italy.
Yeah,
this
and
is really one of only 2 or 3 places that I know of in Italy, the entire country, that actually can produce noble rot.
And
on
in
a regular
context
basis.
For any listeners and viewers, you may be familiar with the great Sauternes of Bordeaux, which are wines that are botrytis wines of noble rot. So as David said, this is unique in Italy, and I think Orvieto is one of the 1, 2, or 3 regions that have, probably 3,
and really specific subregions within the region of Orvieto.
Actually, one of the few.
Because there are a lot of producers in Umbria that don't get affected by botrytis.
Right, which is why it was important to show that video, because if you look at that video, you see that morning fog, and I'm curious, is it steady because the climate changes? Have you seen changes in that over time?
To tell you the truth, you know, sorry, Nick.
Yes. So talking about the area, the climate changing is affecting the area a little bit, as everywhere in the world. But for us was I would say pretty good, because it was a booster of the climate condition of the noble rot, of the botrytis. You know, we have the Tiber River that formed this lake under our heads called Corbara Lake. And this lake is giving this humidity, this fog during the night, and then the wind and the sun during the day. With the warmer weather during September, like we have now also, during our talk. We have a boost of the growing of the mold around the grapes. So this is very important. It's not affecting very much the mold that is still there and working very good, but it's affecting a little bit the timing. So for the noble rot, we are experiencing that we are harvesting before compared to 10, 15, or 12 years ago. Usually we were harvesting the botrytis during November or December also. Sometimes we went close to Christmas time. And now in the last years, we experienced the harvest of the noble rot around October or early November. So it's a little bit faster how it develops the grapes, but it's working very good actually. It's even better for us. We just have to take the right timing to pick the grapes, which is the hardest part. But we have 40 years of experience in the harvesting the botrytis, the noble rot. So it's for us, it's our main job, you know.
Sure.
That's why it's late harvest wine. Often
Yeah, and I want to say a little bit more about the development of the botrytis, because yes, it's also about the soil. We are in an area that we have a sedimental, very, very old soil. It comes from the Eocenic era. It's about 35 million years ago, which is really a lot of time. It's a very old soil, and it's poor, and it's full and made of limestone and clay mainly. So this clay, it's keeping the humidity, the water, inside the soil during the night, and then slowly releasing this humidity during the day, giving to the mold that is growing around the grapes this humidity during the day with the wind and the sun. So this beautiful combination of climate, soil, and our grapes, because one important part of this process is also the grapes. We use our indigenous grapes, which are the Grechetto and the Trebbiano Procanico. And those grapes are pretty special because they're here since always, about more than 3,000 years. But not just that, the skin of the Grechetto and the Trebbiano are very strong. So we can keep them on the vineyard without having fear of problems or a big or aggressive attack of the mold. So the mold is growing around the grapes, around the skins, in a very delicate and soft way. So it's growing all around and not going inside, which is the most important thing to develop the botrytis in the right way. Otherwise, you do black rot, you have problems, you have to thresh.
So it's a very sensitive growing situation. Let's start, with all that happening, how is Barberani addressing regenerative farming to protect and preserve the land and the vines for the future? And are you always going to stay committed to these same grape varieties, or would you ever experiment with other ones?
Yeah, for us was something very important, not just for us, for me and Bernardo, but from our grandfather. Our tradition is to make and to use a traditional way or farming of agriculture, which is very important. Now we use the word of sustainability, of organic farming, or regenerative farming, or whatever. But for us in Italy, our ancestors were doing the traditional farming, and it means that we're using that concept of regenerative farming that we know very well now. They didn't know maybe the scientific side of that, but they know how to do it. And we wanted to preserve this old tradition in our fields, in our vineyards, which is very important. So this is beyond sustainability. We were awarded this year in the top 100 of the best sustainable agriculture company in Italy, which is we are very proud of it. But it's not just sustainability; it's about to restore and enhance the soil, which is very, very important. Our job, our focus is in that. And if you have to know where we are. We are in the Tiber River. Tiber River National Park is still very untouched. We are surrounded by beautiful, beautiful forests. So if you come here, you have a beautiful view of the lake, or the vineyard, and the forest all around, which is amazing. And that means that we have an incredible biodiversity in our estate, in our environment, which is super, super important. And we want to increase this biodiversity and preserve this biodiversity because it is the richness of our environment, of our soil. So the work that we do in our soil is to keep this biodiversity in microorganisms. Microorganisms are the core of our agriculture. So we want to increase the organic matter. We plant seeds every year. We keep the indigenous and the spontaneous herbs that we have in our soil, which is amazing. Also, we are still using the wood cuts of the fruit to all the skins of the berries, and it's very important that we put them again in the soil to make the soil more rich. So this circular agriculture is boosting very much the soil in a natural way, and it's just so this is just following that direction and improving these things with our scientific knowledge.
Well, I think for people who are watching the show or listening, the importance of forests can't be underestimated. Forest is important for the biodiversity, and also there's some altitude here, as you can see. You're up over the lake, and the Lake Corbara is man-made lake, correct?
Yes, it was built.
Yes, it's man-made, but it's the valley of the Tiber River. So there is the river actually here that is forming this artificial lake. It's a small lake actually. Was made to produce electricity, and it's still working actually very, very good. I can say we're very proud of it. And the forest all around is giving us it's giving us a huge treasure of biodiversity. Biodiversity means animals, means plants, means insects, which are very, very important. The balance of the insect inside the ecosystem is the key also to preserve the illness of the problems with illness of our vineyards. Now we are facing a huge problems with some illness because there's no balance in the insects inside the environments around Italy and around Europe. So to have this perfect, very well balanced condition, it's really, really a treasure for us that is keeping all the insects in the right direction, and working all together in a good way.
Well, another problem around Italy was mold, downy mold, I think. Do you have that problem here with the humidity, the mold, or no?
Mildew.
Sorry,
Yeah.
mildew. Sorry. Do you have any problems with the mildew, Odium, or no? Good, because that was a problem.
The mold?
Mildew. I meant mildew.
Oh no.
Peronospora.
The good thing to have a lake and a river. A river valley. It means not just we have humidity, but with the river valley we also have a lot of wind, which is really, really helping to clean the vines, to keep them clean, so we take away the humidity. And also the river and the lake, it's a mirror of the sun. So it's boosting the maturation of the plants and the grapes. And it's really helping a lot to harvest before the standard period. So it means that we have a different growing system of the plants that is really helping a lot, even with those kind of diseases in the plants, which is very important. That's why we can do organic farming I'd say in a little bit more easy way compared to other areas.
That's good. That's interesting.
Talking about animals,
So what's the? I was gonna say, Kim.
Oh.
Oh my
Let
God!
me show you one of the wildest animals.
How old is your puppy? He's a puppy.
She's 2 years old.
Oh,
We,
she's
Very
we
cute.
love
grown-up.
dogs. We have many dogs in our estate. And talking about insects, I show
Yeah.
you something new. This wine is called the Fireflies. And
Ah,
we still have beautiful fireflies. The environment in Corbara Lake, it's so clean. The air is so clean that we have, as Niccolò said, a lot of insects and very, very healthy area and
Mhm.
very healthy air. So the fireflies during the springtime, they develop. This is a Vermentino, so it's a new wine that I'm showing you. Probably you haven't seen it before.
No.
It
No.
just came out this year. It's a beautiful, crisp and mineral Vermentino, and I'm sure we will have time to taste it together the next time you are visiting Orvieto. Okay?
Well, we look forward
Yeah,
to
we
that.
love Vermentino, and it's great that you named it after a firefly. It's wonderful.
And and it's a beautiful label too. And
Mhm.
you're well known for your beautiful labels, so that's a
Yeah.
nice addition to the portfolio, shall we say.
Thank you.
Let's talk about
Yes.
the wines a little bit. We spent some time with you at the estate. We walked through the vineyards, we walked through the winery, and learned about the winemaking process. We also tasted wines with you over lunch. So let's dive in and talk a little bit about the wines that we tried.
Sure. Let me just give a little hint about Luigi before talking about the wines.
Sure.
That is our father.
Mhm.
Luigi and Giovanna, our father and our mother, we have a wine with their names. And I just wanted to give a little hint about his life and he's our mentor. He did so much for us and Vittorio started the company, but my father was the one that changed the way to do the wine in Orvieto. He was an incredible pioneer of organic farming. He started in the 80s. He was a pioneer in energy saving, and you have visited our cellar, and he was trying to save electricity in the 80s. That is, it's not pioneering, it's like going in the space, it's incredible. And today we have this beautiful heritage of approach, I would say, that is very, very important for us. And it gives us the opportunity to develop it even better. Like today we have solar power, and so the company is 100% self-efficient about energy. And this is little things, that makes things better for everyone. And we hope that our children will have a better future and a better planet with this little help that we can give. And Luigi, with our mother, was the one that rediscovered noble rot in the area, and so they actually elevated the quality of the wine of this area, because as I told you at the beginning, was just a very drinkable white wine,
Mhm.
nothing more. And Luigi was fundamentally very, very focused on quality and very elegant wines, balance in the wine. And, it's a selective parcel approach. And this is what we have today, especially the indigenous varieties. And he didn't want Chardonnay, he didn't want the international grapes that were spreading around Italy in the late 80s. He wanted indigenous taste. So today we are producing a lot of Grechetto, a lot of Trebbiano, and a lot of Sangiovese Grosso. That is the character of our wines, and it's the style of the area. And this is very, very important. So you want to talk a little about the wines?
Well, I think we do, absolutely. And I think a good place to start is with the Luigi and Giovanna Orvieto Classico, because you have a wine named after your parents as well. And we actually loved it at the winery. And we also went when we were out at dinner in Orvieto on our own. We actually ordered it for dinner. It's just such a delicious wine. We adore it.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank you.
It's your Orvieto Classico Superiore wine. There's two types of Orvieto Classico. There's Classico and then Superiore.
Mhm.
Why don't we start by talking about the difference between the two,
Mhm.
those two styles of Orvieto whites?
Yes.
And then we also need to say that Orvieto wines are all blends.
Yeah.
They tend not to make varietal style wines.
Mhm.
They tend to blend everything. So I
And
think
that's
that's
a
key,
regulation.
a regulation
Yeah.
within Orvieto. So
Mhm.
It is.
so let's talk about the Orvieto Classico and Classico Superiore, and of course the Luigi Giovanna.
Sure. So, to tell you the truth, Luigi, when he was a president of the consortium, was the person that introduced the Superiore mention in the Orvieto Classico. He wanted, not only the basic Orvieto, he wanted to highlight the quality of a super Orvieto, a wine that could be even better, a wine that could give the opportunity for every producer not only to have the basic cheap Orvieto, common Orvieto, but also to produce something that is particular, more elegant, more quality oriented, more fruitiness, more concentration, more attention in the vineyard. I will say this was his fundamental approach. Our Luigi and Giovanna wine is a celebration of our father and our mother. We love Luigi and Giovanna so much, and it was impossible not to give a wine with this name for the 50th anniversary of the company, for celebrating it. But also the name of the wine is very important in the content of the bottle. So Luigi, in our mind, represent the Grechetto grape, the character of the Grechetto grape. Grechetto is one of the most incredible and peculiar grape of our area. Because the Grechetto has little tannins on the skin, has a lot of character. It's a grape that has a beautiful freshness, but at the same time, the character of long last living. So Luigi and Giovanna, largest part, it's Grechetto with a little hint of Trebbiano, and how what David said before, that Orvieto is a blend. It's very important. So you cannot make Orvieto with just one grape. It's usually a blend of two grapes, mainly Trebbiano Procanico and Grechetto, that is supposed to be over 60%. So the rest of 40%, you can use other grapes, even international grapes. So the disciplinar of Orvieto, it's pretty flexible, I will say. But since the beginning of our company, we always focus on indigenous varieties. So this wine doesn't have foreign grapes inside. It's just a blend of Grechetto and Trebbiano Procanico, which 5% we forget in the vineyard. And, like my brother said before, when you forget grapes in the Orvieto vineyard, they tend to develop a special rot, the noble rot, the Botrytis cinerea. It's an incredible rot that is called noble because it's just surround the grape. It doesn't eat it. So it makes it looks pretty ugly, to tell you the truth. As you have seen probably in the movie, the grape are fully rotted. It's like if you forget a piece of cheese in your refrigerator, this bad mold develops around it and covers it, and it makes not eatable anymore. You have to trash it. In our case, it's a noble rot. So instead of eating it, it gets in the balance of Mother Nature, and it makes little holes in the skin, dehydrating a little the fruit and concentrating sugar and acidity. And when we press the grape, it melts into the wine, giving such an incredible saffron spiciness and beautiful honeyness to the wine. So in the Luigi and Giovanna, just a 5% of late harvest grape that we call Giovanna, that is the sweet part of the couple, makes such a great difference in the wine. So it's not only a great Orvieto, but it's a Orvieto with the touch of the ancient times, of this old reminiscence of a late harvest that makes the wine incredible texture, this little chamomile in the nose, the little saffron spiciness, and in your mouth, it's so layered. It's a wine that is so deep and enjoyable. It's very long, but to tell you the truth, it's also very drinkable. Sometimes we have very important wines that are rich, full-bodied, but then you drink one glass and it makes you a little tired sometimes because they are very, very powerful. The case of Luigi and Giovanna is very different. It's just a 12 alcohol degrees wine with such an incredible balance and drinkability. So it's not only one of the most complex, but it's also one of the most drinkable white wine in Italy. And I'm sure that when you find a bottle of this incredible white wine from Umbria, you will enjoy it so much with truffle, for example, with asparagus, with the lobster scallops, and it's one of these wine that is so gastronomic that you will love to have it like a drink, but you will make the best when you have a beautiful dinner with your friends.
It's a beautiful wine. In the tasting notes I had saffron, orange blossom, a hint of honeysuckle, a little bit of marzipan. It was just it's won a zillion awards.
It has won a zillion awards. It's a
wonderful
beautiful wine. And you also make a Orvieto Classico straight called Castagnolo, which is also 60% Grichetto. The Luigi Giovanna is 80% Grichetto. Right. And the Classico is 60% and then 40% Prosecco. Why don't you tell us about that, which is also a beautiful wine, beautiful acidic wine, and low in alcohol, I might say.
All the Orvieto wines, the white tend to be low in alcohol, which is another advantage of these wines.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Orvieto Classico Castagnolo. It's our bestseller. Talking about number of bottles, it's the Prosecco percentage, the Trebbiano percentage is a little higher, which makes the wine, the Trebbiano taste will be very, very similar to a green apple. So it makes a lot of verticality to the wine, gives a lot of freshness, gives a lot of white flower on the nose. So the Castagnolo compared to the Luigi Giovanna is more drinkable, easier to drink, fantastic wine with this little white peach and finish with little almond back taste of the Grichetto. It's the most typical Orvieto you can drink in our area. It has such a fantastic minerality that gives you, makes it so drinkable. Every sip, you want another bite of the food and you want another sip of the wine. It's pretty addictive. So be careful when you drink it.
The name refers to chestnuts and the vineyard's surrounded by chestnuts.
Oh yes,
right?
This is an area where the chestnut are some of the most traditional production. It's we have vineyards, we have chestnuts, we have olive plants that are incredibly good. The olive from this area has such great character. If you like, this olive oil that you can make a good bruschetta. Orvieto and Umbria is the place to search for great olive oil.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Umbrian olive oil.
We actually brought a couple of bottles of Umbrian olive oil back with us from the trip, which is what I always put in my suitcase when I return from Italy.
We always bring back. So this wine also is 11.5% ABV and is a very versatile pairing wine.
Yeah.
When we were there, we tried
fantastic
wines with different foods and bruschetta and salumi. It was just wonderful.
So I'd love to talk. There's another wine that we tried while we were there with you, and it was absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, for us was it's something that is very important. We did.
I think we can't hear you, Niccolò.
Yeah, we did a lot of research about keeping. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. And now we can.
Oh, now we can.
Okay, no problem. Go on. We talk
Well,
about the
So-
high percentage later. Go on with
Yeah,
wines.
let's talk
Well,
about this.
I want to bring up a wine that we tried while we were with you, which is 100% Grechetto, and it's an IGT wine, which means it's not made in within the DOC regulations, but it's called Vinoso, and it was a beautiful Grechetto that is very unique. Why don't you tell us about that?
You know, the Grechetto is a fantastic grape. Has, as I told you, little tannins on the skin. This makes this kind of grape fantastic and for experimenting on maceration wine. You know, orange wine has always been part of the heritage of the taste of my father, of our father, because he always loved character wines. Since he was young, he was visiting the part of Friuli where they produce the best orange wines, and like Josko Gravner is one of his friends, and that was a kind of inspiration for us, for me and my brother, when we were thinking on how we can experiment on the beautiful Grechetto grape. You know, it's we are organic farming, so we have a very low sulfite percentages. To tell you the truth, we are more or less 5 times to 10 times lower the sulfite percentage of our wine compared to the low of organic wines. So we are definitely doing something very special. And this knowledge comes from the Vinoso wine. The Vinoso wine is a beautifully macerated Grechetto for 3 years on the skin and on the yeast. We don't add any sulfite to the wine. It's incredible wine that process it's approaching the juice and the skin with untouching it. We use a fiberglass container that is fantastic to keep the soul of the wine. We didn't want to influx with cement or oak or other containers that after 3 years may have impact in the wine. You know, even stillness tanks after 3 years gives too much electricity and character to the wine. So the glass fiber, it's a very natural content container, and it makes the wine so incredible. The experimental life that we did was starting with a shorter maceration, but the results were not what we wanted. Were not so elegant, were not easy to drink, were not the style of our land, of our wine. So after 3 year maceration, I would say that the wine changed completely. So all the dirty, strong tannins that are present in the Grechetto, they tend to deploy, they tend to get easy in the taste. They melt into the wine, and the wine transforms itself. So there is no sugar in the wine because it's also the malolactic fermentation took place in the container. But the wine has this beautiful honeyness, this incredible, fascinating, like a little smoky herb in your mouth, and oyster water that is typical of the soil of the plant that we have. Because as Niccolò said before, our plants are deep in the clay, rocky, old limestone that have oysters inside. Because million years ago, we had a beach here. It was not only the Tiber River, it was the Mediterranean Sea.
It was the sea, yeah.
And this Niccolò is showing you some fossils that we find in our vineyards. When we dig the soil pretty deep, they come out. And this is the salinity of the wines, the incredible, fascinating taste of this iodine sensation. It's a direct consequence of the DNA of the grape that we use. And so it's a wine that has a little tannic grip that makes it so drinkable and so enjoyable. And we love to pair this kind of wine with the food that usually it's hard to pair a wine. For example, the artichokes, the smoked fish that has this strong and salty flavor, or strongly fried food, or a grilled mushroom with this strong taste. It's a fantastic combination because the wine has a great character, and at the same time, with this salinity, it makes it even more drinkable and enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about it with artichoke pasta.
Yes.
And it's a savory wine, and we were talking about savory wines yesterday. Yeah, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. It's a terrific wine. There was a little bit of bitter orange peel, and I got some peas and there's a delightful herbal quality to it, along with the orange peel, and it's an apricot color, though. I remember looking at it, and the bottle is quite beautiful. It's got an incredible design. I don't have one to show up, but I
think the label's made of metal.
Yeah, the label's made. That's it. Thank you. It's a really stunning. Yeah. What was the idea behind this label? It's gorgeous.
It's a very artisanal wine, so we wanted a very artisanal label. The painting there is the wild nature of Umbria. The ladybug is the symbol of Mother Nature, with a heart on it that is our love for Mother Nature. So this is a heart wine. It's a wine very experimental, but at the same time, it's a wine that is very deep in the rootstock of our area, of the DNA of the area. So it shows the potential of a great white wines. It's no added sulfite wine. It's a white wine, but it's 2016, the year that we are selling, with no sign of oxidation.
Amazing.
It's fantastic. What was your tasting when you tried it? Did you like it?
Oh, yes. we loved it.
Yes.
It's interesting because orange wines, the concept, can be all over the map in production. And this one was really one of the best versions I've tried. It was just delicious.
Like I said, I had some bitter orange peel, and I wrote peas and beans, like this wonderful, the kinds of things I love eating. I have, but in a good way. So I felt like I was tasting earth, but also just a beautiful.
This beautiful roundness of the wine is really
salinity. So let's move on in the time we have. I want to jump to the Muffa Nobile, which is the noble rot wine, because we've been talking about it, and we do want to make sure we discuss the wine we actually tasted, which was the Calcaya 2022, 100% Orvieto DOC Classico Superiore Muffa Nobile. Let's talk about this wine, since we really talked so much about Botrytis before.
As you mentioned before, Orvieto is one of the only DOC in Italy that can officially write Noble Rot, Muffa Nobile, on the label. Right. And this was recognized by the national state, and it's very important for us because this is a pure Noble Rot wine. So we produce it with indigenous grapes that are Grechetto and Trebbiano Procanico. Grechetto is 80%, Trebbiano 20%. The percentages may vary a little year by year. But the most important thing I will always underline that are not aromatic grapes. And when you pop a bottle of the Calcaya, the aromas of this wine will inebriate the whole room where you are. It's such an incredible, fantastic explosion of spiciness, of this saffron, of this incredible honey, of these dried apricots, and of this also earthiness, a little, of chamomile, a little green tea. The aromas of the Calcaya are so lovely and so enjoyable. So it's the Calcaya, it's a late harvest. The Calcaya was probably the first wine that Luigi made that changed the perception of Orvieto wine in our area. He discovered noble rot by a problem he had in his vineyard. It was the early 70s. He actually forgot to harvest a part of the vineyard that was not mature at the beginning. And so his father was complaining. There was wine missing in the cellar. And he remembered that he forgot a part of the vineyard. So they went back on the vineyard. The grapes were pretty rotted. And he decided to make the medium sweet wine out of it. And the medium sweet of that grape was incredibly good. So they decided to ship to USA. And our importer at that time in San Francisco was also a very good friend with Robert Mondavi. And at dinner with Mondavi, and they tasted the Amabile of Luigi of Barberani, and they loved it. You know, they immediately recognized this incredible noble rot approach of that Amabile Orvieto. So in the middle of the night, they called my dad, and it was the early 70s, you know, and to receive a phone call in the night from San Francisco with Robert Mondavi and Larry Romano on the other side of the telephone was something very unique and special. So my father didn't understand a lot because he doesn't speak English so well, but he understood the word noble rot, botrytis. And so from the next day, he loved this kind of compliments, and he started researching if he could reproduce that error maybe every year. And in 1986, he came out with a bottle of Calcaya, the first bottle of Calcaya. That was such an incredible wine, even in 1986. 1986. The Vinitaly was made of 2 pavilions. It was a very small exhibition. And,
Not so now.
and Luigi Veronelli came to compliment to our father for the rebirth of noble rot in Italy. And from that moment, you know, that wine became a point of reference of elegance, drinkability. It's not just a sweet wine. It's so delicate, so gentle, that it's not only a wine for dessert, but it's a wine for cheese, the goat cheese, the blue cheese, the incredible Italian cheese that we have, that is a fantastic combination. But if you come to Orvieto, we use it also with our starters, because in Orvieto, we used to make the crostini with the pate. And
foie gras.
It's like a foie gras. It's a little rough version, you know, it's an easier version. It's not so sophisticated as they do it in France, but the combination is really incredible and fantastic.
Yeah, the nice liver pate would be
fabulous. Very well, yeah.
It's a beautiful wine. I had notes of I wrote honey, orange blossom, a little bit of balsamic, black truffle, the earthiness. I just said needs foie gras, but liver, crostini liver, and again, and we are getting to the close of this, so we're going to have to wrap up. I think it's important for everyone listening that a sweet wine should not just be considered a dessert wine. Many, many sweet wines, such as this one, are wonderful as starters and with savory dishes, especially certain types of cheeses.
Agreed.
We do want to note, we're not going to have time to talk about the reds, but you also make some red wines as well. Even though Orvieto is predominantly, better known as a white wine region, it makes them as astoundingly good reds as well. It's a very well-rounded region when it comes to enjoying wines. How can our listeners visit you? Yes. How can our visitors visit Barberani?
Sure. And talking about the red, little hint, this is all Sangiovese Grosso, because we are on the border with Tuscany. And so we produce with the Sangiovese Grosso a beautiful rosé that is called Amore. So drinkable and so enjoyable, just 10.5 alcohol degrees. It's really fantastic. Then we have our Foresco, that is our bestseller red, made with Sangiovese and a little Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. And then we have the Polvento, that is the top red. It's 100% Sangiovese Grosso from a 45 25-year-old vineyard that I really, really suggest your listener to find a bottle and try, because it's one of the best version of the Sangiovese Grosso of Central Italy, beside the Brunello di Montalcino.
If you like
So if you
Sangiovese, you're going to love the wines
Absolutely.
here, really. And thank you for bringing them up. I
Thank
wish
you.
we had more time, but it really was an amazing visit. We encourage
yes.
everybody to go to your website, barberani.com.
Barberani.com or our social medias, so Barberani Wine on Instagram or Barberani in Facebook. We will be very, very happy to host you in our vineyard. We have two beautiful welcoming points. One is in the countryside, one is in the center of Orvieto. So if you're visiting Orvieto, just in front of the beautiful cathedral of Orvieto, you have the wine shop of Barberani. It's there since 48 years.
We
so
went.
It's one of the most historical wine shop in Orvieto.
Saw Luigi.
If you want, from Luigi and Giovanni, if you want a good sip of wine, we will be very happy to toast with you, me, my brother, and all the family. Okay.
Yes, and just to underscore, this wine shop is literally right across from the Orvieto Cathedral, so you can't miss it. And it's a wonderful wine shop. We have so enjoyed speaking with you, Bernardo Niccolò Barberani. We just love the visit. Barberani.com is the website again. We encourage everybody to go out and try these wines and consider visiting. Orvieto is a beautiful place. Umbria is an amazing region of Italy, and it's easy to get to. So, grazie
Melanie. Grazie, David. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bernardo.
Thank you very
Bernardo.
much.
Thank you, Niccolò.
And that wraps up another edition
you,
of the
Melanie.
Connected Table Live. Grazie mille.
And,
We are just so happy to introduce you to these wonderful
David.
family-run winery in Orvieto. And as usual, we always want you to travel, learn, taste, and always stay insatiably curious. Thank you.
Ciao.